Nigel Farage come out again and made a public statement in an interview saying that I was not detained under the Terrorism Act. I was detained for a dodgy passport. Everyone's going to hear what happened today. I was detained for not breaking any law, suspicion of no crime, but they wanted access to all of my electrical goods and they wanted to sit down and question me for hours without the right to remain silent.
So we are just heading into court, Tommy. What's happening?
We were late, so we didn't get full English. I'm gutted.
That's true.
I'm gutted. Now, what's happening? I'm in court. I face a terrorism charge, which is insane. Remember, Axel Ruda-Cabana wasn't a terrorist. The government made a massive point of not charging him with any terrorism legislation, even though he was caught with an Al-Qaeda manual, which is an offence to have an Al-Qaeda manual under the Terrorism Act. He was charged and he wasn't deemed a terrorist or to be labelled a terrorist. I today face charges of terrorism Article 7, because I refused as a journalist to give the government or the state access to my mobile phone. The reason I did that is because there's sources of information on here. This is where I hold my information that people give me as a journalist that's supposed to be protected from the state. And I face a prison sentence today for that.
Why did they stop you in the first place?
No reason. When they stopped me, what's the matter? I'll start walking you. When they stopped me, their words, we're detaining you under Article 7 of the Terrorism Act. I said, Terrorism Act? And I went like that. What are you talking about? They said, don't worry, Tommy, we know you're not a terrorist, but this legislation allows us to do this. And then they sat me down in an interview, so for 6 hours, where you do not have a right to remain silent. So when they sat me down under the Terrorism Act, you don't have a right to remain silent, and their first question was, what do you think of Great Britain? And I said, it's a totalitarian shithole. And they said, what do you mean by that? I said, well, you've just told me quite clearly you're detaining me under the Terrorism Act, even though you know I'm not a terrorist, so you're totally abusing your legislation and your powers in order to sit me here and now and question me about my legal, lawful activities. So you're going to hear today, in here, what I was questioned about. It doesn't make sense. It's nothing to do with terrorism. There's no threat of terrorism. There's no question about terrorism. It's all about my legal, political activities and my job as a journalist. So we'll see today, that will all come out. One thing I was disappointed, I've got to get this dig in again. When this happened, lots in Reform were asking Nigel Farage to talk about this. Nigel Farage come out again and made a public statement in an interview saying that I was not detained under the Terrorism Act. I was detained for a dodgy passport. Everyone's going to hear what happened today. I was detained for not breaking any law, suspicion of no crime, but they wanted access to all of my electrical goods and they wanted to sit down and question me for hours without the right to remain silent.
They wanted to trap you and you continued to pose a threat to the narrative.
They wanted. It was the day after we had 100,000 people in Trafalgar Square, and they want to understand the United Kingdom movement. They want to understand what my plans were. One of the questions they asked me was, how are you going to stop the Great Replacement? That's one of the questions they asked me. How are you going to stop the Great Replacement? That was the question from counter-terrorism officers in an interview. This wasn't an interview by ordinary police, this was counter-terrorism officers. My phone was taken. They got access to my phone, so they say, which again, for what? For no crime.
Do you feel like you'll get a fair shot?
I wish I had a jury. I wish that 12 members of the British public were allowed to hear what the British government do and what the state do. But today I will be judged by a single state-appointed judge.
And we know that none of you will tell the truth.
None of the
if
media
you
will tell
are
the-
mainstream.
Well, these guys should be bothered by this.
They should, because it could be you, it could be me.
Yeah, but they don't go against the government.
Of course.
What about hit pieces on citizen journalists, Tommy?
Oh, citizen journalists under attack.
Channel 4 and ITV.
I watched it, mate. Good work,
I'll
lads.
take you around, mate.
Yeah,
Thank you, man.
I
Good
watched
luck
it.
today.
Nothing that does matter anymore. Nothing that does matter anymore.
Well, the thing was that I saw from it, they put all that together, and if that's all they've got to deliver to citizen journalists, then they've got very poor producers.
Even today, if I go to jail, it makes the whole world laugh at Great Britain and the justice system. If I lose, then it means that they unlawfully use terrorism legislation against a British journalist. So,
What do you say about like with the police treatment as well? You abusing like things like Section 14 within journalism?
mate, since the day I started my activism, I've faced fake charges in order to give bail conditions. So what they'll do is they'll get a citizen journalist, they'll arrest them, just give them a bail condition to prevent them from going near to the activities they want them reporting on. For example, I fought a case here, didn't I, which we actually won, where I was banned from London for 6 months. I unlawfully, proven unlawful, but it cost me £53,000, didn't get the money back. Today, Elon Musk has paid for my defence team, so I'm very grateful to Elon Musk for defending my rights as a citizen journalist.
And this is performative, isn't it? I mean, they want
What, the media?
Yeah, they want to...
They want to put images up
humiliate you.
with terrorists,
Yeah.
charged under terrorism
So
legislation.
we can't support you because you would be...
Deemed
under terrorism charges.
deemed terrorist. Yeah.